I've been thinking about imagination. I have a very powerful imagination, and not everybody is visual. I can also be very auditory in terms of my imagination, but I do have a very strong visual sense. And so, if you're listening to this and you're not strong in terms of using imagery, that's okay. And I'm hoping that maybe you can find a way to adapt what I'm sharing because I think this is very valuable, especially for artists, especially for actors in particular. The power of the imagination. A lot of actors and professionals who I work with come to me because of anxiety, because they're have these amazing brains, and the power of the brain is, of course, that what's living in here can become the reality, right? So I can have an image in my head, and it then I have a result in my body that can tell me, oh, you imagined something traumatizing happening or something very upsetting or stressful happening. I can have a stress response in my body. So there's this power of the imagination to do harm, but can also do good. And so I want to explore that a little bit more specifically today. Like, what does this mean? To start off with, the invitation is to sit down or stand or lie down. I want you to be comfortable. What's helping me be comfortable is I'm realizing how thirsty I am. So on the days I have long bike rides. There we go. And giving yourself permission to make whatever movements would feel good. And you might find stillness from that desire to move. And if not, that's also okay. You may find stillness and then go, oh, there's a place of discomfort. And then letting that go. Yeah. Let your jaw soften. Let your tongue soften. And I invite you to take a look at your own space. Can you listen to my voice without having to look at me so that you can engage in your own environment? What do you see? And this should not require a lot of effort. Finding the ease of looking around, letting your eyes see what they'd like to see. And then if something grabs your attention or your eyes settle on something, what is that thing? Notice what it is. And maybe it's the shape itself, the object itself, or maybe it's a color. Maybe it's the way that the light is bouncing off that shape, that surface, the texture. And then if your eyes want to keep roving, letting them keep roving until you find something else that your eyes like to see, letting them rest there. What does that feel like to rest on something your eyes would like to look at? And here now, is there a corresponding feeling in your body as you're here with this whatever that your eyes like to see? And then I'd like you to explore moving between eyes closed and eyes open if that feels comfortable for you. Or you can keep your eyes open if you prefer. But if you wish to follow this suggestion of closing your eyes, can you see this object in your imagination? And it's not a test, so at any time you can open your eyes, use your sense of sight, and then let your eyes close gently, see that object in your imagination. And move between eyes open and eyes closed, following your own desire. Staying with this object. So if with eyes closed you start to go somewhere else, or with eyes open you start to have a thought, acknowledging that, gently coming back to this simple action of seeing and being with, and then closing your eyes and seeing this same object in your internal space. Moving between seeing and closing your eyes and seeing this internally. And now each time that you go into your inner space, can you add some detail? Where is this object? What's touching it? Seeing and being with. And then letting the eyes close. What's touching this object? What's the environment around this object? Seeing and being with. And then closing the eyes. And you can stay with this one activity, this one action, as long as you'd like. And if you have a desire for the next step, I invite you to go back to letting your eyes rove around the room, letting it all in, having an expansive vision, soft gaze, not really working hard at this at all. Some things you'll notice, and some things will pass you by. And take a moment just to acknowledge or let into your awareness that, I am in this environment that I am seeing. And perhaps with this same very gentle, roving vision, you choose to move into your internal space and cast about this room, seeing yourself in this greater context of this room. And again, if you start to go somewhere, gently letting the eyes open back up, taking a look. There's certain things that catch my eye. There's other things that don't. Letting the eyes close. Yes, there's that room. I'm representing this room inside. And you can stay with this for as long as you would like. Then there's one more. And you can start with eyes open or eyes closed, but noticing your immediate surroundings, the textures, the surfaces around you, perhaps even the surfaces of your own body. Closing your eyes. And then moving your hand or an elbow, something that's easy. And trying to make contact with the surface. Does that texture feel like how you'd perhaps expected the texture to feel? What's that contact feel like? To make contact? Is it in space where you thought? Did you have to go a little farther? Did it come up faster than you expected? Just enjoying this sensation, letting it go, finding something new. Is it where you thought it was in space? And we'll do this one more time. Notice your breathing. Reaching out. Feeling your surroundings. Knowing that you can stay here in this exercise as long as you would like. And then also knowing that you can let it go without getting too attached. Sometimes it's really valuable to step out and digest before coming back in. And let's let that go in 3, in 2, and in 1. Coming back here. Look at this space. And I invite you now to just test the waters. Can you stay with your own inner experience while you're also here connecting to the environment? Letting that go in 3, 2, 1. So there were 3 main skills that I introduced. Bonus, I stuck another one on at the end. But moving gently between seeing and then representing as an image in your imagination. And noticing if this caused a change in you. Then being able to flesh out not just the object, but what else is going on around it. Now, that was 1. 2 was then taking this broader view and being with your environment and just seeking, noticing what captures your attention or what doesn't really. And then depicting that in your imagination. So you're moving from this one specific object in context to this larger context where you are. And then adding the next part of, okay, so if I can visualize my environment, can I interact with it? How does my depiction of the environment on the inside match up with this physical environment? And then the final bonus was, can I be with my inner space while with this outer environment? That's the secret of presence, right? That I can feel my sensations, I can feel my heart beating, I'm aware of my breath, and I'm not losing the room, or vice versa. I'm so out in the room, I'm losing my body. And sometimes that happens when people go to speak, that they either become hyper aware of their heart beating, or they become hyper aware of something out there and they lose their body. And so being able to come back and balance the two is so important. The theme of this session was imagination, and I invite you to explore this over the next few days. Our work is being able to move and engage and manipulate in our imagination, to work with imagery. In fact, imagery is a really powerful way to work with the muscles and nerves and things that we can't consciously control. Like if I want to raise my arm, I can raise my arm. But I have all these little tiny connections in my body, little muscles that I want to change and shift and relate and connect to text. And working with images is how to do that. The tricky thing is this can become a burden, because as artists we can become overwhelmed by images. We can start to live in a wholly imagined space, and this can cause physical changes in our body. but then knowing you can use this to help you, to help orient you back into space, to help create artistic work, means that it then also becomes your superpower. I'm going to leave it there. We can explore this later next session, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I'll see you all again soon. Bye.